Welcome to Returning Home. I'm your host, Natalie Sapinski. I am speaking to you live from my home in the Hebron Hills, Susia. Today is May 20th, Thursday, and we are just kicking ourselves into summer. The pool is going to be open in a week here, and we will hopefully forget all about war and all about Corona. The rockets are still flying over Israel. I just got news that they're being launched all over the coast, Ashkelon, Ashdod, all those areas, and hopefully that will end shortly and we can resume our lives in peace because Israelis and Jews are peace-loving people. This has been difficult for everyone here, and, people ask, what's it like? Everyone feels this, no matter where you are in Israel. I don't care if you live in Ashkelon or if you live near the Dead Sea. It affects all of us. Israel is a small nation, and we are all family, and we all have someone close to us being affected, and living in the bomb shelters or fighting among the troops. And it's scary. It really is scary, but we will persevere, we will succeed, and we will continue our lives. And that's all this is about, trying to wipe out the Jews. It's always the same old story. It's not about anything else. I don't want to hear any of those little excuses, these reasons. There is no reason, okay? There's no reason. So we'll go on, and we have to be strong for each other, and we have to be strong for our families and for our children. We sleep in a tent when it's hot out, and my son has been telling me he's scared now. He's scared to sleep in the tent. He's scared that Arabs are going to come and kill us. And I'm telling him, we're staying here in this tent. We have our dog. I have a gun. And here's a baseball bat, okay? We're sleeping in our tent. No one's going to hurt us. It's our tent, and we'll stay. And he's listened. He's complained, but he stays. And that's what we have to do. We have to be strong, prepare, and stay. We're not going anywhere. And, we have nowhere else to go. We don't. So we will continue building up our communities and having more people make Aliyah as the days and years go on. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages. Back to Returning Home. I'm your host, Natalie Sapinski. Joining us today is a woman who has not made Aliyah yet, but she tells me that she has the movers at her house right now as we speak, packing up her lift. We are joined today by Nechama Greenfield of Teaneck, New Jersey, who is going to be moving to Ashkelon. Nechama, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. Now you say us. Who's with us today?
Well, my husband is downstairs with the guys all over the house that are continuing packing and then putting everything on the lift today.
All right. So that's a big deal. And I'm sure you're excited. Every time I talk to you, you're excited, right?
I'm anxious today. I'm ready to go home. I've had enough.
Yeah. Well, this is very interesting. I spoke to you during the week and I asked you, are you still happy that you're moving to Ashkelon? Now, in light of the recent and current missile strikes, what are your feelings? Have they changed?
If anything, I feel even stronger the need and want to go home to Ashkelon. I feel very strongly about it. So, no, we're ready. We're going.
Okay, you're ready to sit in the bomb shelter if you need to.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. That's what I need to hear. That's what we want to hear, because if you want to come no matter what, right? Nothing's going to stop you.
I want to come. I'm making Aliyah. I'm going to be an Israeli. That's it. Home is home.
Good.
Excellent. So my frustration and anxiety is more related to the fact of political situations here in the United States and the lack of support. But
yeah, we've been reading some disturbing things. And when you're here, you won't feel it so much. That's all I can tell you. You're not going to feel it so much. You're going to read it, but you don't feel it.
I hope so.
What's it like where you live?
Well, I happen to live in a community that says it's very Zionistic, although I must say we just finished a 2-day Yom Tov, and I'm in the crux of where there's a shul or what you would call a shtibel in every corner, and I only saw 2 Israeli flags out, ours and one other one. So, I think talk is cheap. I want to go home. I've had enough. Today, my goal in the afternoon is to contact my congressmen, anybody related to federal, state, local government, and make my voice heard.
Kol hakavod. We need more like you. Awesome. I'll tell you, you say you only saw 2 Israeli flags. Now, people are probably just afraid.
I think so. I think so. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not.
And, okay, well, great. People are afraid for good reason. They want to protect their lives. They don't know how to fight. They're not prepared to fight. They don't have weapons. They don't have any training. They have a small baby. They have children. They're all kinds of reasons. And, it's normal and I think acceptable to want to blend in. That's what Jews have always done in the diaspora. They try to blend in so people won't pay attention to them. They don't know how to stand up. They don't come together enough. It's awful.
I think we've come to the point in time where enough is enough and we have to stop blending and we have to go home. And I am hearing from more and more people, comments, questions. What do I do? How do I get started? And I'm making suggestions very clearly. Get your paperwork in order. Just get your paperwork in order so that you can go home. And a lot of people are doing this. Surprisingly, a lot of young families, because they see the writing on the wall. And we're very blessed because in previous generations, we didn't have a home, and we do now.
That's right. So people seem to, they never lived without an Israel. That's the problem.
Correct. Absolutely. I never lived without an Israel, but my grandparents did. And I remember as a child, my grandmother saying, is everyone home? Good. Close all the windows, lock all the doors, because she went through the pogroms. So, you know what? I don't need that. And in the meantime, we're.
Oh no! Have we lost her? Nechama?
Frustrated and
there we go.
We're angry about all of these rockets. We feel that not just the South. The South is being bombarded as we speak right now, but all of Israel has been hit hard.
Yeah.
So we need to act in solidarity, and we need to go home. Enough is enough. I'm so ready and curious why so many people say, "Really, you're going?" And I go, "Absolutely." So I'm more anxious and excited to get home.
Yeah. When are you? I lost count and I forget your date. What is the date? Your Aliyah date?
20 days. I have a countdown.
Okay. Good.
20 days. So we are beyond excited. Like I said, today the lift is here. They take everything and.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to ask you about that because we didn't do a lift. But tell me, Nechama, when they take everything, what do you have then? You have an empty house?
Pretty much, except for the things are suitcases and a few pieces of furniture and a couple of sofas to sleep on. And after we leave, we have a guy who comes, he cleans everything out, and that's it. So it's like we're camping out in our home.
Uh-huh. And when you leave, I mean, you'll have that furniture sitting there. Will someone come and take it? Or someone actually bought your house, right?
Right. And the day after we leave, we have a clean out guy. He comes, he takes everything. And Baruch Hashem, the family we sold the house to, they're letting us live here in our rent back. Right. And they're supporting all of this tremendously.
Right. So Yeah. That worked out for you. That's the way to do it. Work with you worked with your community, and all of those listening, when it comes down to doing these things, and these are really just technicalities, you got to work with 100%. Your community, right? I mean, work with people who support you.
Between the community and all the Facebook groups with Nefesh B'Nefesh, there's so much information out there, and people will help you from step 1 to step 100 to get what you need and take care of what you need on this end in the United States, or I assume Canada as well. I think those are the 2 countries. And then when you get to Israel, they help you get, they give you a list of what you need to do and when, and they help you open up a bank account, and they help you get a driver's license. And so we're just in the beginning.
Right. But that's easy. I mean, it's good. It's easy because it's just the 2 of you. You don't have kids, and you have friends and you have family here, your boys, right?
I do. So we do have kids. Our kids preceded us. They're going to help us. In fact,
they'll help you. They're not little kids who have to go to school. They're adults already.
Yeah, they're adults. So they ordered for us SIM cards that will be waiting for us when we get there.
There you go. Yeah,
we're ready to go.
Totally, it's going to be great. And what better time after a war? Everyone's going to be so jubilant. Like breaking out. And
from your mouth to God's ears. As long as we can get on the plane and go, I'm going. That's exactly how we feel.
That's great, and it should work out.
Amen.
How about your friends? Anybody trying to scare you?
Oh, quite a few. Quite a few. I've had quite a few people say to me, "Why are you going? Why are you going now? Why don't you wait a few more months? Why don't you wait, another year? Why Ashkelon?" Yeah. And I said, "Why not? Why not?
Good for you.
Why not? I'm not going to let them win. Absolutely not."
I mean, that's I would think you're having to kind of defend yourself all the time.
With some people, a lot of people are giving us a lot of heads up and saying, "Hatzlacha, what do you need? We have friends here. We have friends there. Family will help you, whatever support. You need." I'm getting more of that. Tremendous support, especially there's a Olim group on a Facebook group for people in Ashkelon. Tremendous support of all the things that we are going to need as we move into our new community, our new home.
Oh, so
great. I'm not worried at all. My only worry is getting on that plane. Once I get on that plane.
What do you tell me what that means when you say worry is getting on that plane? What is the worry?
The worry is wanting to make sure, even though I'm already vaccinated, that we'll get the PCR test and it won't be a problem. The paperwork for the little dog, that's last minute. But I don't think that will be a problem. Just making sure that they don't close the airport.
Right.
That there's not more bombing. But if there is, you know what, we'll just go the next day or the next day.
Yeah, listen, Nechama, all these things, Corona, the war, even the papers for your dog, they're not in your hands.
Correct.
Okay? They're in Hashem's hands.
It's a tremendous amount of emunah at this point.
Right.
And it's been a good test.
Nachon. That's true when you come here, it's not like you're going to come here and then exhale and then everything will fall into place like Legos. No, there's work to do, and again, Amuna, you have to just remember it's not in your hands. But what is in your hands is your attitude and your effort. Correct. And you have that. You've got that.
And I am not afraid of the bureaucracy because we have a tremendous amount here as well in the United States.
That's right. Absolutely.
So it's just going to be a new bureaucracy and I'll get to learn something new. That's all.
That's right. That's all it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds great. Okay, look, we are out of time. I will try to check in again before you get on that plane. You have 20 days, so that gives us maybe in 2 weeks I'll check in. And thank you. Thank you for joining us and for interrupting your packing. Batzlacha with all of that.
Amen. Let's just pray the war is over.
Yes. Amen. Toda. Welcome back to Returning Home. I'm your host, Natalie Sapinski. Joining us today is our friend Zezy Fuld from Beit Shemesh. Zezy is going to tell us his thoughts about what Nechama just told us, how things are boiling with anti-Semitism in America and the Jews are not standing up. Zezy, what do you have to say about that?
So it's always an interesting topic. People, famous people around the world. Just last week, Gal Gadot, who is, for those who don't know, is Wonder Woman, took on the role of Wonder Woman, Israeli actress, and was asked by many people, use your voice. You have a voice, use it. And she decided to use it. But instead of being very clear in her message, she gave the usual leftist two-sided message. And, both sides need to come to the table. And, I was just listening just now to the governor of Texas, and he made it very clear that the issue with the world right now are people are not being clear in their message. People are not saying, we stand with Israel. They're not saying, we need to understand that what is happening to Israel is not two-sided. What's happening in Israel right now of rockets being shot over into civilian areas, and specifically just shooting them as much as they can as we're speaking right now. Rockets are still being shot over, and the question is are we condemning it in the strongest way possible?
They're not.
Yeah, you know what? It's really. I had a friend of mine who I was just speaking to, and he was saying, we voted for Biden because you know what, we need something different. I was like, why did you need something different? I just don't get it. I don't understand the Jewish voice out there that is, I was listening to a video today, and
so you said a couple things. You say the Jewish voice. You also say, I don't know what governor you're mentioning, but these leaders are not condemning Hamas. Okay, we know they are weak. These people are weak. It's not that the message isn't clear. It's really easy to say a clear message. Knock it off. Stop firing missiles. There you go. I just did a message. Not that hard. I don't have to be a governor to come up with that.
But the message has to be clearer than that. If you look at,
they're not even saying that, Zezy. They're not saying stop.
Right.
Leave Israel alone.
But Natalie, why are they not saying that? Why are they not giving that message?
Because they're weak people. They have some interest. Okay,
no,
it's like the emperor who has no. What is it?
Natalie, they're getting the backing that they've been looking for years from the president of the United States. Being wishy-washy, you know what?
Yeah, he's not a strong leader. We get it. We know he's weak.
Okay, so when you don't have a strong leader at the helm who says, you know what, let's bring Iran back to the table, and says, let's give money back to the Palestinian people, and let's not implement any kind of infrastructure. Let's just be kumbaya, my lord, and let's bring everyone in, and let's be peaceful and fun team.
Why are these governors dependent on the president's leadership in this instance? They don't need to be. They don't need to be.
Honestly, the bottom line is everything is dictated by the president of the United States. If you look at the last 4 years under Donald Trump, you look at the presidency over there. Come on, I mean, all the leftists could have said and done whatever they wanted to. Don't move the embassy to Jerusalem. It got moved. Don't annex Judea and Samaria. It got annexed. The bottom line is he makes the final word. He makes the final decision. As much as the Democrats right now run the Senate and they run Congress. And the bottom line is how exactly do you want the message to get clear? You know what? Today I was listening to AOC Cortez, the Democratic senator from a congresswoman from New York, and she said it best. She said, "This is not a problem of anti-Jewish, anti-Zionism." And there it is. Therein lies the issue. This is not about Zionism. It's not about Israel. It's about Judaism. And for those of you who are listening and think for a second that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitic and is not anti-Jewish, then your eyes are not open. They're saying it blatantly in their faces. They're saying it blatantly. If you look at the history of who this land belongs to, if you look at the history just of the last 10 days, where this fight started from Sheikh Hazara, the community that was bought by Israelis, the houses that were bought by Israelis, I want to ask anybody here who owns a house and rents it out, if somebody doesn't pay rent, what do? Well, you make them pay. Oh, they don't pay? Okay, then you go to the court system and you get them evicted. Well, that's what happened here. This is a simple case of an eviction, and everyone up in arms look at all these Israelis who are terrible. Let's look at the facts.
That's just an excuse for the escalation, for the rockets. It's ridiculous, okay? It's a ridiculous excuse. There's nothing to do with it, and I'm not going to pretend it does, okay? It doesn't. They can come up with any excuse. They want us gone. They're jealous. They want our land, and that's it. They're right. They hate Jews. They hate that Israel's here. We don't have to walk under them anymore. We don't have to move aside when they come walking down the street. We are landowners, and they aren't the boss, and they hate it. It seems pretty clear to me, you know.
I think the thing that's frustrating to me, honestly, and this is the thing that's really been hurting me this week, and you know, I need my outlet, and that was one of the things I actually want to talk to you about today. I didn't want to talk about this. I want to talk about outlets. Like, what do you do when things are better, things are good time? I just got my second football game canceled. It was supposed to be tonight, and because of the situation, we just got a second game canceled. And, you know, I need that outlet, and I don't have that outlet. But, you know, the bottom line is how do you get somebody? I'm asking this question because I think it's so important for your listeners. How do you get somebody to change their mind? You know, people feel like I keep posting the same thing over and over again. I keep on telling people that we're downtrodden upon, and then you have the mob that comes after me and says, "Shut up, you stupid Jews," and all these things. And my question is to you, Natalie, is how do you get people to listen? How do you get people to really have a real conversation and not just listen to the news and listen to the terrible one-sided news outlets in the world and say, okay, well, I guess that must be the facts. How do you get people to listen?
Well, I think one way is to have a relationship with them. Okay, a relationship based on trust and respect, not based on politics, not based on what is the fad. You know, that's where things start. A personal relationship. And if you have a personal relationship with someone and you guys respect each other and trust each other, you can talk about anything. Maybe it's delicate, you know, maybe you're nervous, it's sensitive, but you're not going to be screaming at each other when you talk. It's just like going to court. You may hate the guy at the defense, all right? But you're the attorney, and you have to be polite. You know the guy's a criminal. You know what he did, but you got to be polite. It's so much easier to represent someone else than to represent yourself because you have that distance.
Yeah,
right?
you know, you're saying it sounds so simple, but I don't...
No, it's not simple. No, it's not. It's not simple. It is not simple. Building a relationship is hard. Maintaining a relationship is hard. And discussing sensitive topics is... Some people just don't do it at all. I mean, I go to the hospital here. You go to the hospital here. Half the hospitals, Arabs. Doctors and nurses are Arabs. Okay? I'm not sitting there screaming at them, and they're not screaming at me. They help me. They serve me Brazil. Because there's respect there. When the workers, and tons of people use Arab workers, they're polite, you know? They do their thing. They're not screaming and all that. No. The people that are the actors are not the same people that are the representatives. You're saying, how do you speak to a mob? You can't. Can you speak to the leader? Yes. Can you convince him? Sure, but he's a liar. He's a liar. He'll nod his head and say, yeah, okay, yeah, I love Jewish, I love you, yeah. But he'll turn around and he'll go kill her. That's what they do. There's no really middle ground here. This is not like news. This is not something we have not seen before. We've seen this over and over again. Just look at the Hebron massacre from 1929. You know, right. How many times do you need to read that? You don't need to read that more than once. It's not, they're not like us. Okay. They're not like us. They don't have the mental, the Western, the cultural, it's different. They have different, values, different values. Yeah. I keep saying, you know, when they were complaining yesterday about what happened in Kiryat Arba, a 16-year-old girl shot the Champiata. Why would a 16-year-old girl do that? I'll tell you why she did that. She wanted to be famous. She wanted to be popular. She's a loser, and she wanted to become a winner. It's that simple, okay? It's like gang members. Who are gang members? Are gang members the presidents of their class? No. Gang members are the dropouts.
It's scary. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. You know, what scared me the most this week was people over and over again saying never again. And then I'm like, yeah, but it's here again, you know.
It's horrible.
In every city.
Horrible.
And it's not Israel. It's not Israel. You look at Canada. You look at Toronto. You look at Australia, New York, London. London had a message telling Jews to stay indoors on Shavuot night. That doesn't happen. That's not what's supposed to be going on. We're supposed to be past these things. We're supposed to be amongst the nations.
Why? Why do you think the world will change? You think that the world is going to love the Jew? They don't. They won't. Okay? I think this is a good call. Come on home. Let's go. Aliyah, let's go. Yeah. It's not getting better out there. It's not going to. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Somebody messaged me today that how much is the numbers go up of phone calls and texts and emails that you get after like a case happens in New York or New Jersey? You get all these calls from people who want to make Aliyah, and you know, how much do those numbers go up? I said, it goes up, but it doesn't mean anything because there are many of those people. I had meetings, many of these meetings during the summer, and many of those people fell out, didn't move because of this and that and the other thing.
We gotta say goodbye. I remember those meetings. Thank you, Zezy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Natalie.
Bye. Welcome back to Returning Home. I'm your host, Natalie Sapinski. Joining us today is Lou Lassoff. Lou has not gotten here yet. He's also on the waiting list, I think, for Aliyah. He is in Philadelphia currently. His plan is to move to Pardes Channa with his friend Aliza Baracha, who we have on the show almost every week. Lou was on a couple weeks ago. He is, I think, in his 60s. His brother used to live here, was a basketball player. And Lou is coming on his own. He's divorced, one daughter who's staying in the States. I think that's his story. Lou, are you with us?
I am, but it's a little hard for me to hear you.
Okay.
But I can hear you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, good. I hear you. I'd like to know where you are in the process of your Aliyah. Has there been any movement?
Well, right now, I'm still waiting for my Aliyah approval. But by all projections, I should by the beginning of July, I should have all my clearances to where I can book a flight for August. And I'm planning. My daughter's going to be 28 years old in August 19th. So if I can find a trip on August 20th, August 21st, somewhere right after her birthday, I'm on it.
Very nice. All right. How long has this taken you? When did you start the process?
When did I start? I can't even remember.
Over a year?
No, it's not over a year. I was talking to Elise's husband, Gershon, I'd say probably about 9 months ago, and it was right before Shabbos, and he said something bad happened in the world or in the United States, and he said, it's time to go home. And I said, you're right, it's time to go home because we made application, and we're going to be going, and that's when I started.
I just want to get like an idea of, is it so long? But a year. It's a year from start to finish.
Within the last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and so people should know that when bad things happen and when there are flare-ups, people sometimes then start to think, Aliyah. Zezy just told us, go in there, open your file, start the process, because the way things are going in the world, bad things will happen again for the Jews. It's just going that way. And people who are considering Aliyah, who think about it, aren't even thinking about it like it could happen tomorrow, or don't even have all the answers, like what kind of job will I have? I don't even know where I would live. It doesn't matter. Open your file and get moving, because those questions will get answered.
agree. I mean, right now there's so many unanswered questions, and like your first caller said, you got to have faith. You got to have faith and trust that things are going to work out. Right now, I mean, I want to be there in August. I don't have a place to live yet, but that will happen. I'm starting to talk with the shippers. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but I know all the pieces of the puzzle will come together.
That's
and
right.
There is no right time. Aren't you? Somebody said, "Aren't you worried? Aren't you worried?" People have said, what's going on now? Are you delaying? No, not at all.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. What are people saying?
I'm not delaying. I'm not delaying one bit. And hold on one second, please.
Okay. That is a question I was going to ask him anyway.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not delaying one bit. There's a friend of mine who's about half my age who we're making Aliyah. He's a little bit ahead of me in the paperwork process. He recently got his approval, and I reached out to him. I said, "So with what's going on, are you a little worried? Are you delaying?" He says, "Not at all." He goes, to paraphrase Menachem Begin, "I'm not a Jew with trembling knees." And I said,
Amen.
Neither am I.
Great.
And that's the way you have to be.
That's right.
God willing, things will calm down quickly, and we all pray for that. But there is no right time to go. It's just like there's no right time to have a baby. Or there's no right time for this. You just do it, and all the pieces will fall into place.
They will. They'll fall into place. And when you mentioned Menachem Begin's famous response, that was to then Senator Biden, ironically, and "I'm not a Jew with trembling knees." I love that whole diatribe, he says. And one thing you didn't mention is when things quiet down, I hope things quiet down. Well, things will always flare up again. And that is why we have a very strong defense force. That is why we all send our kids to the Army proudly. They all serve, and they're in the reserves until they're in their 40s, and they are active. And that is one reason, Israel is still here today. And whoever comes, whenever you come, if there's war or peace, Israel's strong. Israel has learned from the past. Thank goodness. We're strong. We invest in our citizens. We invest in our military. And we invest in protecting our citizens. And whenever you see the conversations out there outside of Israel, showing. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hello? Okay,
yeah.
It's very, very weak on my end. But I just wanted to say, my brother lived there for 15 years from about 1980 to 1995. And he raised 2 children there. And he felt safer there than he did here. Even though with what's going on, it's and I haven't been there in almost 30 years, but the times I was there, you felt very safe. There were army all around, and you in a big city like Tel Aviv, you were able to go out at night. You didn't have to worry about things. You didn't have to worry. Right. Crime was a lot less than in Philadelphia, I know,
yes.
As bad as things are, but it's a safe country.
Yes, in general, even in war,
just like I tell people, hey, in Philadelphia, there's certain neighborhoods you don't really want to go into, especially at night. Same thing like in Israel. There's certain neighborhoods you may not want to drive into.
Right.
Or you can't drive into. But,
and you learn which ones they are. That's all.
Exactly.
Okay, so I was gonna.
I'm very much looking. I'm very much looking forward to being there, and all the things that I don't know right now, that I don't have answers to. They will happen shortly, and you have to have faith, and it's a long process, and especially for me, since I haven't been there in so many years, I kind of take it like when you're a little kid and the water in the pool is freezing. It takes you 20 to 30 minutes because you're going in so slowly, and you're you know what I mean. You go in the water so slowly, and in 20 minutes you're up to your hips, and then finally you dive in, and that's kind of what I'm kind of letting the process gel. It's of all the a lot of changes that will be, and of course it will be culture shock for me not having been in Israel in 29 years, but I'll take my time and it will be okay. And other times, I'll jump right into making decisions.
Uh-huh. Are there people that you have not told yet that you're moving?
I'm sorry? Couldn't hear you.
Are there people, friends, family, are there people there that you have not told yet about your Aliyah?
No, I think pretty much everybody knows.
And has anyone tried to change your mind lately? I mean, during this last crisis?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You can't hear me? Have any of those people...
I can hear you now a little better.
Okay. Have any of those people have any of them really pushed you to change your plans?
No.
Good.
People have asked me, what are your feelings? And I told them I'm full speed ahead.
Good. I know. I think we already covered that, but I just want to make sure because it's a very strong statement you're making. And those of you listening out there, Lou is just like the Nechama who we had earlier on the show. They're not holding back and they're not afraid. And and there's a war going on here. Just think of all the people who are afraid when there is no war. What I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Be like Lou. Be like Nechama.
Absolutely. And with what's happening in the world, with all the antisemitism, I mean, Jews are being treated terribly. I saw in Los Angeles there was issues with there are all kinds of issues in Los Angeles and so many other cities around the world. Hey, this is a time. It's not going to get better here. It's only going to get worse, and it's time that we all go home. I mean, this is the writing on the wall is right there. It's not getting better. Things won't get better in the diaspora for Jews all around the world, and it's calling call. Let's go back to the one home that we have.
Have you heard these kind of words by leadership, Jewish leadership at all?
I kind of not paying too much attention to what's. I'm kind of like in my own little world. You don't know.
Okay, you don't know. You don't know because this would be a good time for the leaders of the Jewish communities to stand up and say, Yalla, let's go. It's really time to get moving. Make Aliyah. This is not a time to dilly-dally anymore. I would think they'd be saying that. I don't hear it either. Well, we're out of time, Lou. Thank you for joining us. And we will be revisiting you this summer. And, keep up the great attitude. And please spread that attitude and get more of your friends to come because we all need to come home.